Hi everyone, it's Katie Crysdale here from Lakeview Aquatic Consultants. Welcome back to your weekly aquatic industry insider. So it's not my plan in this video series to start doing reaction videos to everything that I see on social media because you're all on social media too. I'm sure you see a lot of the same things, but occasionally on my For You page or the algorithm recommends something to me as a pool person, someone who's interested in pool content that really gets stuck in my craw. And that is how I ended up recording the last Aquatic Industry Insider that I posted about Paris Hilton. You may have seen that video. A few colleagues messaged me to say that they hadn't seen this incident with Paris Hilton. A few had, but I felt that it was important to memorialize my comments on that TikTok because it really was a symptom of the wider audience and understanding of her as a mother and of the puddle jumper. Today, I want to do something similar. There was a reel that I saw on Instagram. It was recommended for me. And I think it's really important to talk about this reel because it's not just about this specific reel, it's about a wider movement in terms of how the community at large sees lifeguards and their role. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about that lifeguard reel, and then I'm going to bring in a couple of other articles that I think are relevant in terms of understanding how lifeguards are perceived. I am based here near Calgary, Alberta in Canada. I teach in Canada. I don't teach lifeguard courses in the United States, so I can't speak to the environmental conditions in the place where you are located. They might be the same, they might be different, but I definitely thought it was really important to talk about this. So let me give a little bit of context before we look at that specific reel. So I have been teaching the National Lifeguard program here in Canada. So I'm a National Lifeguard instructor for the Life Saving Society of Alberta and the Northwest Territories. Any of the opinions that I share in this video are my opinions only, and they do not reflect any Life Saving Society official positions. One of the lessons that we cover in the National Lifeguard program is lifeguard roles and responsibilities. And one of the activities involved in that is essentially lifeguard stereotypes. So, one of the activities that we do with a group of lifeguard candidates is we ask them to draw or describe what are the positive attributes that they know or have seen about lifeguards in media, and what are the negative attributes that they know or have heard about lifeguards in media. And for the 10 years that I've been teaching this course, so from 2013 till the present day, 2024, it's been pretty consistent. We've been moving away from the Baywatch TV series that was very popular in the 80s, that was certainly mentioned when I became a lifeguard back in 2003. That was a common, like a popular idea of lifeguarding. But as we've gotten further and further away from that TV show, as younger generations have been born, that relevancy of Baywatch has definitely gone away in teaching this lesson in the course. The next big thing that would come up in talking about lifeguard stereotypes is, as of 2016, many of you will remember the infamous meme of the lifeguard at the Rio de Janeiro 2016 Olympics. That meme was the next cultural moment, in my opinion, as a lifeguard instructor and lifeguard instructor trainer. That was the split second photograph that was memorialized around the world. I'm sure that lifeguard feels terrible. She's completely identified with one moment, 1 second in her life. And the media took that story and ran with it and posted all of these memes that we were working for years in an industry to combat the relevancy of lifeguarding and the necessity of lifeguarding. So from 2016 to 2022, I would say that was the main illustration that I used in my National Lifeguard courses. That was a photo or a meme that most people remembered, most people had seen, most people recognized, and it prompted a really good conversation about the role of lifeguards, especially at high performance athletic events. I used to also bring up the story of Fran Crippen, who died in 2010 in an open water 10K swim in Dubai, where he was not noticed by lifeguards or there were no lifeguards present. But that was sort of kind of what we talked about for 5, 6 years about lifeguards. In parallel, there has been an active movement, I would say, in North America to get lifeguards lumped into first responders and to get them treated differently in terms of their pay categorization, their job categorization. I'm not going to really comment on that movement in the industry. I support it broadly, but I do think it is a really challenging thing to do. And I can understand where it is also complicated by people trying to lump in indoor or outdoor swimming pool lifeguards with beach, waterfront surf lifeguarding, which is a quite different vocation in terms of level of commitment, physical fitness. And so I don't feel passionately about that movement. I support it broadly, but I know there are people who are far more passionate about making that shift. To get back to the point of this video, we had that lifeguard meme for 5 or 6 years of teaching National Lifeguard. It was just starting to go away in terms of cultural relevance. The last few classes that I have taught here in Alberta, 2002, 2003, 2004, hasn't been a lot of lifeguard classes because of the pandemic and pools were closed in Canada for so long. But the last couple classes, I would say, with the young kids who are 15, 16 years old, there hasn't been that knowledge about that meme, which was great. It means there hasn't been that same sort of social connection to that moment. It's somewhat died down. It's somewhat gone away. There was a brief blip of Baywatch when it came back, an update. A remake was done with Zac Efron and The Rock. And so that Baywatch movie had a little bit of cultural relevance for a while. But essentially, the negative stereotypes of lifeguarding had gone away briefly, and they were even promoted as necessary at high-profile athletic events after the fainting of the synchronized swimmer Anita Alvarez at a world championship event. Her coach jumped in to rescue her because the coach stated that she knew her athlete best. She understood that her athlete was not well. The lifeguards may have perceived her to be engaging in her routine and not in medical distress. And then I would say for a brief period, people were into lifeguards. People were not overtly supportive necessarily, but it wasn't the punching bag of the fun police. Why do they exist? Why are they necessary at high performance events? And I'm not even going to get into that piece of justifying why they're necessary at high performance athletic events, because they are. I mean, if you've worked any swim meet, you know that they are not immune to injuries. Whether you are Michael Phelps or whether you're a 6-year-old swimmer, things happen. And so lifeguards are necessary. All of this is lead up to this reel that I saw on Instagram this past weekend. And I'm concerned that this is going to be another cultural moment for us. And it's going to bring back the conversation about why do we have lifeguards. So let me show you what that reel is.
And definitely Olympic style, on this 800-foot style, with some of which are models like taking big hands in the field. She's already got to take it, but everybody else knows.
So for context, it's currently July 2024. We are a couple weeks away from the Paris 2024 Olympics, and USA Swimming recently had their trials for the team in Indianapolis with this large pool complex set up in the stadium there. If you haven't seen that pool set up, I'll post a link to a really great video that shows how they put up a pool temporarily in this space. And then it's my understanding that they get different lifeguards to volunteer for the event. And there is no shortage of volunteers because people are really excited to have the opportunity to witness firsthand people who are living out their dreams to qualify for the Olympics, to qualify for the US swim team. So it was really discouraging to see this reel. I understand it was probably intentionally constructed as a form of clickbait to get people to engage, to get people to comment and reshare, to get people to be mad. But it's really discouraging, especially when you look into the comments, to see some of the stereotypes in terms of people thinking that this is a taxpayer-funded pool or a taxpayer-funded event, when this is a private corporate event by USA Swimming. They have their own sponsors to support the costs of this event, but then they also sell hundreds of thousands of tickets as well as broadcast rights. So this is a completely, I won't say for-profit event, but the costs are resolved by staging the event, and it is an infrequent event every 4 years. So this is not taxpayer funded. The lifeguards are probably volunteers. They may receive a per diem. They may receive, a meal, a uniform. They may receive some free swag or go to an event, but it is not a taxpayer funded activity. And it brings me back to a short video I posted on YouTube last year, and it got a lot of engagement that I was not expecting. So I posted this video, I will link to it as well, where I was lightly criticizing the form or the posture of a lifeguard at a local pool. I had their face blurred out, and my question was just, is this how a lifeguard should look? And all of my videos typically release at midnight. And I woke up the next morning to something like 7,000 views and 35 comments, most of which were people who clearly do not work in the aquatics industry, who were trolling me for being mean towards this lifeguard, who definitely appears to be young. But one of the literal comments was, would you judge how your accountant is sitting when they are doing your taxes? Which is a complete apples versus orange comparison that I'm sure those of you who've worked in the pool industry or as lifeguards can understand. I just wanted to share this reel. It was really frustrating because I really think it's having a moment, and it's going to lead to further challenges in our industry for any awareness that lifeguarding can be a real job. And as I posted in one of our ghost newsletters recently, I really don't feel that there is a lifeguard shortage in our industry because of the people or the humans who want to be lifeguards. I think there's a lifeguard shortage in our industry because there is a chronic lack of willingness by many organizations to actually pay what lifeguards are worth in terms of the skills that they must achieve through their training, which is quite expensive and time consuming, in terms of the risks that they undertake and the type of work that they will be doing on shift versus scooping ice cream or flipping burgers or babysitting kids in someone's home. And then it also comes down to the fact that there is this disrespect that continues to exist in our industry that's now coming back after a period in which it had gone away. That's it for today. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with my comments on this reel. Do you think I'm blowing it out of proportion? Do you think this is a flash in the pan? It's going to disappear. Nobody's going to be talking about this issue. Or is this something where we're going to be seeing this come up in our national lifeguard courses, our lifeguard training for the next few years, because people will see something like this, will see the judgment of the quote unquote uselessness of lifeguards, and that's going to really impact those who want to become lifeguards or their role in our industry. Thanks again for being here. We'll see you again in the next video.